Inside the Oval Office late Thursday, President Donald Trump interrupted a trio of South Korean officials as they analyzed an offer to meet from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and outlined possible diplomatic options. Okay, Mr. Trump said, cutting short the discussion. Tell them I'll do it. The South Korean officials looked at each other as if in disbelief, according to a White House official with knowledge of the meeting, as Mr. Trump continued. He would become the first sitting U.S. president to meet a North Korean leader, if Mr. Kim was sincere and understood the terms. Tell him yes, the president said. That unusual moment touched off a rush by U.S. officials to assemble a diplomatic strategy with little precedent in U.S. history. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un attending a military parade last month in Pyongyang. Photo Cakna via KNS/Agence France Presse/Getty Images. White House aides, State Department officials, U.S. intelligence officers and others scrambled to start the work of arranging a summit between Mr. Trump and Mr. Kim to take place as early as May, and that must somehow address a range of military, economic and civil liberties issues that have defied solutions for decades. The agreement for a meeting between Messrs. Trump and Kim with no advance preparation was considered unusual. The time-honored way for American officials to pursue major arms control accords has been for negotiators on both sides to clear away many of the sticking points before elevating the remaining obstacles to top leaders. Mr. Trump has stood the traditional diplomatic model on its head. Casting aside years of protocol, the president agreed to a summit with Mr. Kim before any of his aides had even sat down with a North Korean representative to clarify precisely where Pyongyang stands on fundamental nuclear issues. The coming weeks will bring a dizzying pace of activity as aides across the federal government prepare for the logistics, strategies and substance of the meeting between the two leaders. Questions regarding U.S. aims, long-standing roadblocks and even the composition of the U.S. negotiating team remain to be addressed. Trump White House messaging in the Thursday meeting among administration officials and South Koreans bearing an offer from Mr. Kim were the President, Vice President Mike Pence, Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, National Security Advisor Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster, Matthew Pottinger, the National Security Council's top Asia advisor, White House Chief of Staff John Kelly, Nick Ayers, the Vice President's Chief of Staff, and John Sullivan, the Deputy Secretary of State. During the meeting, Mr. Trump told the South Koreans that they should tell the world about the plans. A small circle of White House officials were aware that the South Koreans were bringing an invitation from Mr. Kim, and that the president would accept it, but the spur-of-the-moment decision from Mr. Trump to have the South Koreans speak for him was unexpected. The move ensured that the news wouldn't leak and be massaged and spun by others. It would have backfired to hold on to this, one White House official said. This eliminated the real risks. The story out there now is the truth. He is so sick of the foggy bottom bullshit of diplomacy. Great talk of maybe they meant this, maybe they meant that, the official said. No one can be confused this way. Confident that he had made the right decision, Mr. Trump walked into the White House briefing room to tease reporters about a major upcoming announcement. The move surprised the reporters, and his own team. Mr. Trump has so rarely entered the briefing room that he was initially surprised when he opened a door to a suite of low-level press assistants. Then he fumbled with the pocket door leading into the briefing room, where he took a group of reporters by surprise. Mr. Trump agreed to the meeting, believing he is in a prime negotiating position. The White House has said that it hasn't made any concessions, that Mr. Kim has agreed to talk about eliminating his nuclear arsenal, and that the U.S.'s plan for maximum pressure continues. But in a sign of some of the complications posed by Mr. Trump's approach, the White House on Friday appeared to attach new conditions to Mr. Trump's agreement to meet Mr. Kim. South Korean officials emerged from the White House on Thursday to announce that President Donald Trump agreed to meet North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Photo Michael Reynolds EPA/Rex/Shu EPA/Shutterstock. The president will not have the meeting without seeing concrete steps and concrete actions take place by North Korea, said Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the White House press secretary, adding Mr. Trump accepted the invitation based on the promises that they have made. Later Friday, officials clarified that the White House wasn't outlining any change in position from Thursday's announcement of a meeting between the U.S. and North Korean leaders. The invitation has been extended.